The president's very good at foreshadowing exactly what he's going to do. I'd listen closely, Iran, if I were you. But what is an acceptable deal with a country that cannot be trusted? What's the state of the uprising in Iran? Are moderate Arab states caught in the middle, and what can they do, if anything? This week, the Board of Peace will hold its first meeting. The reconstruction of Gaza is on the agenda. Joining us is the chairman, of the House Intelligence Committee, Rick Crawford. Welcome, Mr. Chairman. All right, Iran is a fascinating case. What is the current state? And could you ever trust this regime, or does there have to be a regime alteration? Does there need to be a change in the regime?
Well, I think there may be a regime change in the works that's happening organically. You see the state of political unrest that's taking place in Iran right now. You're seeing the demonstrations around the world. Hundreds of thousands of Iranian diaspora are demonstrating in countries around the world, United States, Europe, Australia, you name it. So I think the world is paying close attention to what's going on here. And I think these are legitimate organic uprisings, really advocating for regime change. Now, what does that mean for the United States' role? Certainly, we would support that organic uprising and do what we could to support that. The president has said, don't hurt those people. He said, Iran, I've got your back. And I think they believe that. And we'll see, because this is the first time that, in previous administrations, they didn't do direct bilateral negotiations. There was always an intermediary involved. And that's how we ended up with the JCPOA. But this is direct interactions with Iranians. And if they are wise, based on what he has demonstrated with Operation Midnight Hammer and most recently Operation Absolute Resolve, they are taking him seriously if they know what's good for them.
What is the latest estimate? How many people in Iran have been killed by their leaders? And it's, these people go to great peril, take great risks to take to the streets. How can the U.S. not just signal their support, but actually give it to them?
Well, I mean, one of the things I think we can do is facilitate communications. And so what you see is Iranians blocking communications, trying to, nail that down so they can't communicate with the outside world. The United States is trying to facilitate communications, whether that be with Starlink or other modes of communication. So that's one thing we can do. The other thing is to, be steadfast and let them know that we do have their back. And I think that's where they are. I think they wouldn't be out there in the numbers that they are out there, time and time again, with the tens of thousands that have been killed, if they didn't think that the United States had their back. And here's the other thing I think is important to note. The speech that Secretary Rubio gave at the Munich Security Conference was just unbelievable. And it got the Europeans' attention as it applies to restoring the direction of Western civilization. This is part and parcel of that. Europe is going to get behind the United States in this effort. And I think that's an important addition to this equation.
Yeah, the Secretary of State Rubio's comments, you're right, at the Munich Security Council, they were exceptional. Take 15 minutes and watch those if you can, because they really... the way he said it and what he said was poignant and was just made Americans proud, I can tell you that. We only have a minute left here. Tell me about Gaza. This Board of Peace is set to have, I think, $5 billion set aside. What's it going to do, and how do you explain that to the American people? $5 billion going into Gaza.
Well, this is a masterclass in leadership, is what you're seeing here. And I'm going to go back to one of the comments that Secretary Rubio made at the Munich Security Conference, and that is that the UN had potential. The UN has been around since the 50s, post-World War II. So they should have realized their potential by now. It's really kind of sad that President Trump had to come up with this Board of Peace, but there's a reason he did it, multiple reasons. One is he wanted to make sure that multiple countries were playing a role in the direction of Gaza, making sure that it was being taken care of. The other was, financially. These individual countries are contributing to that effort. So it's not just the United States unilaterally stepping in, trying to fix a problem, but it's building a coalition of support around an important problem that is going to be solved by many, many partners. And so I think it's a stroke of genius.
House Intel Chairman Rick Crawford, thank you so much for joining us. Really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, coming up next.